Recently, I looked up the movie Jumanji on Rotten Tomatoes. It came out in 1995, starring Robin Williams, directed by Joe Johnston. It's one that I really enjoy, and thus I was disappointed to see that the critic score on Rotten Tomatoes for Jumanji is only 51%. I don't get it at all. I really enjoy Jumanji. I don't get what the problems are with the movie. I think that the acting is really good. The movie looks good. The visuals aren't super flashy, but they definitely get the job done, I would say. I like the story here. I like that you have this kid who we see at the beginning of the movie. He starts playing this board game that has magic called Jumanji, and then he's sucked into the game. And then when he's finally brought back to the real world, he finds out that 20 years have passed since he was around, and thus his parents aren't around anymore. The factory that used to be in the town isn't running any longer. So he's trying to adjust to this world that's very different from the one he knows. And then he and these kids start playing Jumanji again so that he can go back to the time that he knows, which ultimately is what happens. So I think the story's good here. I think the movie's well written. I don't think that there's anything here that doesn't make sense. So I just don't get it. What movie were the critics watching? I have no clue. And honestly, something I've noticed upon looking up some of these older movies is, man, it almost feels like the critics had something against Robin Williams, because Jumanji, Hook, and Mrs. Doubtfire all either have a rotten critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, or they have a fresh score but a bit of a low one. It's not fantastic. Like Mrs. Doubtfire, classic comedy, having a low score of 70%. What's what's going on here? Do the critics have a problem with Robin Williams? It kind of feels like it. I mean, he was in Aladdin, which was very well received. I'm not sure off the top of my head how well Dead Poets Society was received, but yeah, I really don't get what the problem is of Jumanji at all. I think it's a fun, entertaining movie that has emotion in it as well. I like the way it ends with Robin Williams' character going back to the time he knows, so his parents are around, the factory's up and running. I think that I like all the hijinks that happen when everyone is playing the game Jumanji. So I just don't get what the problem is here. It's like critics have something against a sweet, wholesome, feel-good movie. Like, oh, the movie's too wholesome. It needs to be more cynical. That's the thing with Hook for me. I'm like, well, what is the problem with that movie? Why is it bad? I have no clue. It's like critics are saying, well, the movie's bad because it's too sentimental, too nostalgic, too wholesome. I don't get how that's a bad thing at all.